What's up everyone, it's Matt Morozic, aka MVM397 with a little tutorial for you, or the beginnings of one. So I'm working on this commissioned Sinanju, and one of the things that on this kit that's a little challenging for some, or maybe not, are doing the trim pieces. Now Bandai gives you lovely stickers to take care of these, but those are really not nice. They kind of suck. And they also, you can get decals for them too. Those aren't any easier. I've tried both. With the exception of the stickers, I have used the stickers on the shield. I painted the stickers and put the stickers on, and actually both of my Sinanjus that I built for myself, the shield is done that way. I painted the stickers and then put the stickers on. But the most professional way, I guess, would be to do a reverse wash, and that's what we're going to do here. So here's the crest that goes on the chest. This has been primed, sanded, and then gloss coated with Mr. Color GX Gloss Black, and it's not super glossy, but that's okay because it'll be glossy in the end when we're done. So that's been base coated. So now the trick is we want to paint all that lovely trim and the crest a different a metallic. So what we're going to do is we're going to spray on some of Mr. Color GX 206 purple. It's like a metallic purple. Okay, I've got some Mr. Color 400 here. This is the regular thinner, and I've put 10% retarder in it to help the drying process slow down a little bit, and we're going to mix some of that up. So I use these little measuring cups. You can get them at your Hobby Town, or I usually order them off of Tower Hobbies because they're cheaper to get them that way. And these go up to 30 mils, and I use these exclusively for measuring paint. That's just the way I've always done it, and I like it. So I'm gonna put metallic on these crest pieces. So I don't need a whole lot of paint right now. So I'm only gonna mix up, I don't know, maybe 15 mils. So this paint is covers pretty well. So I'm gonna mix. I'm gonna put 5 mils of paint into my cup. And this paint is rather thick, meaning there's a lot of pigment in it. So I typically reduce it 1 part paint to 2 part thinner. So I put 5 mils of paint. I'm going to go up to 15 mils of thinner, and then we're good. I got my little paint stirrer here. It's actually got some brown paint on it from base coating the Sinanju, so I'm going to take that off so I don't contaminate my metallic paint. We don't want that. And we'll mix this up, and we'll spray some on. So that's pretty clean, and we'll mix that up. And if you're familiar with the test where you take the paint and you put it up on the side of the cup and it runs down kind of like milk, that's a pretty good test. Depending on the color, sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't, but that's a good starting point. You really don't know until you start to put paint in your airbrush and you start to spray. So I'm going to put the top on my paint because I am clumsy and I tend to spill things a lot. Alright, I've got my Badger Chrome airbrush here set up and my compressor. I've got my air pressure set at about 20 psi, which is what I spray everything at. My air pressure never changes. It's always 20 psi. I know a lot of people that change their psi depending on what they're doing. 20 works for me for everything. It's just learning how to control your airbrush. And we're going to put a little paint in the airbrush here. And then we're simply going to spray some on. Now I'm not spraying my spray booth, so in order to, so you guys can hear me, but there's not much going on here. I'm just spraying some metallic. And let me get in a little closer here. Sorry guys, I'm using my DSLR, which is a manual focus camera, so it doesn't autofocus when I'm recording video. So there's the piece, and we're just going to kind of mist this on first, see how it goes. And you typically want to do a gloss black for your base coat. It tends to make the metallics shine a little nicer, a little brighter. Oop, I'm going to turn my air compressor down here because I'm losing pressure. So sorry, it's going to be running in the background, but it is what it is. Here it goes. Now, this being a black base coat, this purple will be a little darker than if I was to do a white base coat. Your base coat does have an effect on your top coat. the darker your base coat, the darker your top coat's going to be. So if I want this to be a little bit brighter, I would spray white. But I don't want this screaming purple. I want it to be a toned down metallic purple. And spray the entire piece. And I always pay careful attention to the edges because I tend to miss those, and nothing's worse than you get done putting your kit together and you see some paints shining through. Alright, so that's done. So that's been base coated with purple. So now I will let this dry, maybe an hour or so, and then we'll come back and throw some gloss coat on it. So until then, I'll go ahead and finish base coating the rest, and we'll get back with the next step. Okay, so we finished the first few steps of the reverse wash process. We primed our parts, we sprayed gloss black, and now we've sprayed our trim color, which is this awesome purple. Let me see if I can get in focus so you can see it. Right there. And you can see it's got a little bit of a shine to it, but we're going to protect that with some clear coat. And my clear of choice 99% of the time is the Mr. Color GX Super Clear. Again, the GX line of paints is a high pigment, covers real well, and it's got a really nice kind of strong coat. So I'm going to mix this up the same way I did the color. I'm going to do 1 part paint to 2 parts thinner, and then we'll spray some gloss coat. I'll be right back. Okay, so I've cleaned out my airbrush, just ran some thinner through it, and swabbed it out with the Q-tip. I've got my clear coat in there, mixed 1 part clear to 2 parts thinner. Got my piece here, got my air compressor set at 20 psi like I always do, and we're going to spray clear. So in the reverse wash process, I forgot to mention this, in order for this to work, your base color or the trim color needs to be a lacquer base paint in order for this to work. Because what we're going to do is I'm going to protect this with a lacquer clear coat. I'm going to let that cure for at least 24 hours, maybe 2 days, because I've done this in little as 12 hours, but it was kind of sketchy. So 24 hours is the best. Let your clear coat cure, and then we're going to come back and we're going to spray the whole piece with flat white enamel. And then once that is dried, we're not going to let it dry all the way. We're going to let the enamel dry for about half an hour, and then we're going to come back with some lighter fluid and wipe off the enamel from the trim, leaving the background white and the trim purple. So it sounds complicated, but it's actually really pretty simple process. So I got my color sprayed. I got my clear coat airbrush. Let's put some on here real quick. And you want this to be really as glossy as you can get it without running. Sorry, I'm not in frame. So I put this on relatively wet. Sorry, it's hard to airbrush it through while you're on camera. At least it is for me. I have to turn my air compressor back on because my air pressure is going down. Now I've done videos on spraying gloss before, and the trick is to really kind of spray in a bright, shiny light. And you want to spray until you see a highlight. So right there, it's looking pretty good. You can see it's nice and shiny. And with that retarder in the clear coat, it'll level out a little bit. So this is our protective layer, getting ready for the enamel part of the process. So that looks pretty good. And what's also nice is when you do the clear coat on the trim and you use a flat background, it gives a nice contrast because the background will be flat and the trim will be glossy. So that's it for this step. So we'll come back in 24 hours and spray our white and go from there. Okay, continuing on with the reverse wash tutorial. Previously what I did is I had base coated all these pieces that have the trim and stuff in gloss black. I then sprayed my metallic purple, which is Mr. Color GX 206. I then top coated that with Mr. Color Super Clear GX to protect that. And the next step is to actually do the reverse wash, and this piece I've already done, as you can tell. Hopefully the color is not going to go wonky on me. So this is actually a really pretty easy process. So after you've done your black base coat, your metallic, and your clear coat, and that's cured, Now I sprayed clear on these a few days ago, so the longer you let it sit, the better, because the less chance you have of going through. We're going to actually apply the background color, which in this case is white. And what I use for this is actually the really cheap Testors enamels. These are the little cheapy guys, the $1.50 a bottle. You don't need super nice paint. I tend to like to use the flat. You can use gloss, but I think flat looks better, so I'm going to use white. Typically you'll see on the Sinanju that it would be like a black background, but I'm doing something different. So I'm going to use this cheap old white enamel, and to thin it I'm actually going to use lighter fluid, because this is what I'm going to use to clean it up with. You also can use enamel thinner to thin it, and use enamel thinner to clean it, but I don't have any, but this works just as well. You can also use enamel thinner to thin the paint, spray it, and then use lighter fluid to clean it. They're both enamel soluble, so lighter fluid or enamel thinner will work. I tend to find that the lighter fluid is a little less harsh, and I have a less chance of going through the lacquer clear. Now, even though it's a lacquer clear and enamel top coat, and they're technically incompatible, I have in the past, when cleaning up the parts, have gone through the clear coat into the underlying color. If you rub too hard or put it down too wet, it can eat through the lacquer. So it's not supposed to, but it can happen. So what I'm going to do is, and there's no real science to the mixing ratio. Actually, I don't thin this like to a specific ratio. I've already mixed this paint up really well. I use my little paint stir mixer that I have, my powered paint mixer. And I'm going to put a little bit in my cup. And I don't need a whole lot, because I'm just going to do a few pieces at a time. Put a little bit in there. Where's my lid? There it is. I'm going to turn my air compressor on, get that going, so it's ready to go. And I'm going to add my lighter fluid. Again, there's no real ratio. I'm just going to thin it till it looks about the right consistency. I don't do like a 1-to-1 or anything, but I'd rather have it a little thinner than a little thick. I'd rather put fewer light coats on than one big thick coat. Alright, that looks about right. We're going to do the little, you're aware of the tester. If you bring up the side of your cup and it kind of goes down like milk, you're good to go. This is this actually right about perfect, so we're going to just leave it there. Spray it there. Oops, sorry, caught the camera. Alright, got my airbrush going. I'm going to turn my air pressure back down to about 20, because last night I was doing all that fading stuff. So I'm going to put my paint in the airbrush. And I'm going to take we'll do one of these arms, since that's what I kind of showed in the initial tutorial. And just like any other airbrushing, hold on. One thing I find when I do videos is that my skewers are too long. I can't get close enough to the camera. So hopefully this is in focus. And I'm going to spray the whole part. So what's going to happen is that the background will stay white, and then I'll clean off the raised areas, and those will stay purple. I'm going to blow off any dust or contamination. Hopefully it'll be fine. And we're just going to start spraying that on there. And you spray the whole piece. And enamels are, in my mind, are really smelly. Much more smellier than lacquers. And make sure you cover the whole piece, because you don't want to have to go back and spray it again and do this over. But the nice thing about this process is it's actually relatively easy to touch up if you screw up. If worst scenario, you wipe all the enamel off and start over. But it's another reason I use flat paint, because flat paint touches up much easier. Alright. I think it's looking pretty good. Sorry, I'm trying to stay within the frame and spray this at the same time. It's hard to do sometimes. Alright, so I'm going to make sure that that's all covered well. Looks like we're pretty good. Again, if the color and this is wonky, I'm sorry. I don't have the best, again, as I always say, I don't have the best setup for videos. but hopefully you guys get some information out of them. And now what we're going to do is we're going to let this dry maybe not long at all. I'm going to let that dry maybe a minute. I'm going to spray some air on it. And another reason I use flat is because it dries so much faster. If this was a gloss enamel, it would take literally days to dry. And I don't want it to cure. I really just want it kind of to be surface dry because, like I said, I don't want to rub on this so much that I risk going through the lacquer top coat. So we're going to just kind of let that dry a little bit. Oops, I missed a spot right there. Even though I'm going to clean that off on the background, I just want to make sure I get it all. Put my airbrush down. And I didn't use much paint on that. Now this process is a slow process. It's not a quick one. The cleaning up process takes a while. So I'm going to be right back. I need to get some Q-tips. Alright, sorry about that. So while my paint dries up here for a minute, I'm going to show you kind of like, this is kind of like my decaling kit. And it's simple. It's really simple. It's microsol and a bunch of Q-tips. So in here I have regular Q-tips, and then I have hobby Q-tips. When I'm doing this process, I tend to use the hobby Q-tips because they don't shed, and it's a harder, it's stiffer. So it does a better job of just cleaning off the top portion of the part. If I use the softer ones, it'll tend to want to get down below where I don't want it to clean up. So this is dried for about a minute, 2 minutes, and it's ready to go. So what we do is get a little thinner, or not thinner, but lighter fluid or enamel thinner, and you're gonna dip your Q-tip in there, and I take the excess off my hand, and it dries relatively quick. I don't want it super wet. And now what we're gonna do is, hopefully this will focus, we're going to come in and we're just going to actually wipe away, this will not come off, we're going to wipe away the enamel, or exposing the trim. See, it's coming off. And since this is raised, if you don't do it too wet, you'll only take off the top part. So this is kind of called the reverse because you kind of go backwards. Instead of doing like a panel wash, you kind of do it the opposite way. So like that. So you just work your way around, and you'll have to change your Q-tip quite a bit because it'll get full of paint. And I go through a lot of Q-tips doing this. Okay, so it's become a little harder to take off, so I'm going to pull more fluid on there, lighter fluid on the Q-tip. And you want to do this pretty quickly after spraying. You don't want to let it cure, because you'd be sitting here forever trying to get this off. So now what I do is I go around and I get the majority of it off, and you'll see that there's some kind of it's like a little, I don't know, it's like a fogging. It's not a fog, it's just basically where all the paint hasn't come off. So I'm going to go around and do that, and I'll go through a few Q-tips and I'll come back and show you the end result. Okay, I'm not done yet, but I want to let you know that as I was cleaning off, I noticed that I had a little thin spot right here. I could see through the white, so what I did is I just went back and I misted some more white on, and it doesn't matter that it gets on the purple because I'm going to wipe it off. So I'll keep cleaning and show you the end. Okay, so I've gone around the piece one time, and you can still see that I need some cleanup, so I'm going to change Q-tips and continue and show you that. Okay, so I'm going around the second time. I got a little overzealous, and I actually got a little too wet, and I went through right there a little bit. So again, I'm just going to mist some more white on there and keep cleaning. Okay, it took a little while, but I went through and was able to clean that all off, and you can see it looks pretty good. So it takes some time, so go through, wipe it all off. Don't sit there and rub on it real hard. Let the thinner or the lighter fluid do the work, because if you start rubbing on it real hard, there's a chance you can go through your lacquer top coat like I mentioned earlier. but this is like the cleanest, most professional way to do these markings. I have yet to see anyone use the decals or the stickers and have it look decent. And this is not a hard technique, but it does take some time. It'll probably take me a good 2 hours to go through and do all these pieces, because you saw I had to kind of go back, and where I got a little, my Q-tip got a little wet and the thinner got on the white backdrop. It did go through the paint. And then this part is done now, so I got this nice glossy trim against this nice flat white background, which will look nice. And to give you an idea of what this will look like with the paint scheme I got going on, I'm not sure this is gonna show up well, but or if it'll focus, but we got that kind of nice orange going on with the purple trim and the white. So I think that's going to look pretty sharp. It's a different color scheme. It's not something people are going to be used to seeing, so I think it'll be a nice change from the normal, but I'm liking it so far. And so that's it for reverse wash. I'll finish these parts up, and then we'll move on to the next step, which will be clear coating all the armor parts I did the other night, get ready for decals and panel lines. So as always, thanks for watching. It's Matt Mrozic, aka MVM397. Thanks for watching. So I forgot to mention one thing on the reverse wash, and that's on the shield here. So to do the reverse wash on the shield would be actually really difficult. And in the past, I've built 2 other Sinanjus, and in the past what I've done is I've actually painted the stickers and then applied the stickers except for the crest, and then I reverse washed the crest. Well, I was thinking, well, they actually are the perfect size for masks. So what I've done is I've already sprayed this part, the purple, as you can see, has been gloss coated. So I've applied the stickers for the trim for the mask, and now I'm going to spray my white, and then I'll take those off. So let's see what that looks like. Okay, so I sprayed my white, and it's had a chance to dry for a few minutes. It's still drying because it's still got a little bit of shine to it, and this is a flat coat. So now let's take off some of these masks and see what we got. And I'm just using a brand new blade and very carefully just try to get this started. I'm actually going to do it off camera, and I'll bring it back on because I need to get real close, and I can't do that while I'm trying to look through the camera. Come on. There we go. Alright, so I got one of these started. I thought I did. Hold on. Hold please. There we go. Alright, so I tend to like to pull any masking tape or anything off a few minutes after spraying. Alright, so I'm going to pull that off, revealing the metallic purple underneath. Now, I do have a little residue from the sticker, so I'll just go in and I'll clean that up a little bit with lighter fluid, but this is much easier than trying to go in there and do a reverse wash, because it's hard to get in there. I put these stickers on a few days ago, and I should have probably sprayed it relatively quickly after applying, because now they've been on there, they're not easy to get off. They're kind of stuck. And I'm trying to do this without scratching my paint, which if I do, I'll touch it up. Come on. Does not want to come off. Sorry guys, I'm off camera, and I'm doing this because I have to get real close to it and I can't see through the camera, so my apologies for not having anything on the screen. Alright, so we got that corner lifted. Tell you what, it's being a little bear to come off. So that's the idea. So I'm going to take the rest off and show it to you in a second. Okay, so got those all off. Let me get this in a little closer, and it looks pretty good. So like I said, I put these stickers on a couple of days ago, and with the humidity we've had here, I'm not sure if it's showing up, but there's some residue from the adhesive, and I'll just go in there with some of the lighter fluid and clean that up. And I did get a little itty bitty nick right there by my thumb, so I'm gonna let that dry and and I'll do a little brush touch up. Maybe asking why didn't I use the sticker to mask the crest. I'm going to do a reverse wash on that. And the reason is because the sticker for the crest, hold on, I got it right here. The way it's designed, I'm going to take it off because I'm not going to use it, is that it's solid background. I have to go through and cut around all that gold, and I tell you what, I'm not that precise, so to do the reverse wash is a much easier and more precise method than trying to cut this out and using that as a mask. So for the shield, that's what you can do. Now, I make tons of mistakes, guys. I'm not perfect, so it's all about knowing how to fix them. So this part of the shield gets a couple stickers too, and kind of forgot that before I sprayed all the orange. What I should have done is sprayed the purple first, masked it. Sorry, my phone rang. So what I should have done is I should have sprayed this black, then metallic purple, used the sticker to mask the purple, and then done all my browns and oranges and stuff. But I didn't, so I screwed up. So in this case, what I am going to do is what I've done in the past. I'm actually just going to paint these two stickers, the purple, and put them on. And to be honest, you can't even tell. Like I said in my other two Sinanjus, I painted all these stickers and put them on, and no one has ever said anything about them being stickers. You can't even tell. Even if you look up really close, you can't tell that I've painted the stickers and put them on. One thing Bandai has done really well is that these stickers fit absolutely perfect, and if you get them on there right, you cannot tell. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to paint these purple, put them on, and you won't be able to tell. So that's the end of the reverse wash technique. So this is a little add-on to the end of it, but if you guys have any questions, let me know. As always, thanks for watching. It's Matt Mrozik, aka MVM397, signing off.